here's the problem. There's two cameras. Which one were you looking at?
It's kind of like just in the middle. Oh. And that's why I wear my glasses.
It'll be
You
all right.
Can't see where I'm looking.
It'd be all right. I think I looked at the wrong camera.
It's okay.
I looked at both of them at the same time. It turned out cross-eyed.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. All right.
Is this happening? Are we ready?
I think so. I think we're ready.
Do we have to do anything else? Or is that's our intro?
That's the cue.
All right. Well, listen, I'm Jason Roach, and I am sitting here with my friend Tara Stoneman, and what a privilege and thrill for me to be able to sit here at this table. And we've been doing these interviews and podcasts and talking to people, getting their stories, some of their background.
Yeah.
And you are now in the hot seat. You have been the interviewer for many of them, and now you're going to be interviewed by me. Can you handle it?
I'm going to give it my best.
All right.
It is definitely a different seat.
Well, yeah, and listen, I'm intimidated sitting here because you are like the podcast interviewer extraordinaire. And so I don't have that same vibe. You've got that, that friendly, everybody wants to share all of their life with you, their PIN numbers to their bank accounts, all of that.
Nice.
You've got that way about you. I don't have that same kind of vibe, so I hope you will help me out with this. But Tara, we've been friends for 2 years, 3 years?
3 years.
Coming up on 3 years?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Time flies, eh?
Has it really been?
It is been that long.
And we have grown, our families have grown, we've grown together in the church. And I know some of your story. I know some of the things that kind of have written the journey to where you are now. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about, I think, today, to find out who Tara is.
It's terrifying.
Why is Tara like she is?
You're more terrifying.
No, Tara, listen, you've got a beautiful way about you. You've got a beautiful faith. And I know that where you are today didn't come without struggle. We know that. And so it is the fabric of who we are, all of these things. Yeah. And so that's what we want to jump into and talk about.
Sounds good.
So let's go way back.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have any one of those reels that we can, go black and white and then the little decorative on the screen, but
it was 1979, so it wouldn't be that bad.
Wow, I didn't realize you were that young.
So, thank you. Wow.
That's incredible.
I say it to my kids, they're like, you're not even born in the same century. You're old.
Listen, I know there's a comedian that I really enjoy listening to. He's funny. And the first time I heard him make this statement, I use it all the time now, and that is he was born in the 1900s. Yeah. And
I'm just going to use that from now on. Just mystery too. Which part of the 1900s?
Exactly. So I'm like, yeah, we're born in the 1900s. Yeah. And so here we are. So we just want this a little closer or further? Closer. All right. Sorry about that. So let's go back, Tara. Let's go back to your early life, family roots. Tell us a little bit about your childhood, where you came, your family, all of that.
Okay. Well, my mom had me when she was 23. She married my dad, who was an Italian immigrant. His family came to Canada when he was 11. And they met years later and got married, and I was born. And she came from a Baptist background, but not fully practicing, not regularly attending. It was one of those, the kids would get sent up the hill to the church on Sunday morning, go to Sunday school, and Jesus wasn't the name that was spoken in the home on the regulars. So like loosely Baptist, I guess you can say. My father was raised Catholic, same. And it was more tradition to follow that faith. So it was expected that I would get baptized Catholic. And it was, that was challenging for my mom. I think she felt that was her first pull to say, she wanted me to know about Jesus. That was important to her. And so she would talk to me about him. And to the point where I was sitting on her bed one day and she heard me in her room just kind of chitter-chattering, little ones do, right? And she comes in, she says, "Who are you talking to, Tara?" And I'm staring up at the wall, and she had a crucifix on the wall. And I said, "I'm talking to Jesus, Mom. I'm talking to Jesus." And so I had a connection. He met me in those very early years, and I needed that more than ever. And I wouldn't realize till much later how important that first foundational encounter was going to be with him, to know the name Jesus. My mom and dad did not stay together. His family was very dysfunctional. There was a lot of alcoholism. There was violence. He witnessed a lot of traumatic things. So those were things that were starting to pour into their marriage. And my mom, in her wisdom, said, "This isn't going to be good. I'm not going to go down the same path as his mom." So she took me, and we had to go. We had nowhere to go. We couldn't go with my grandparents. They wouldn't take us in. There was this fear that came on her. How am I going to raise this little girl? Being 23, too. I mean, she was still young. She had yet to go to college. So what are we going to do? And it was the doors of incredible, beautiful, kind strangers that were open for us. One of whom was this woman named Mary. Mary had all these cats, and she had one cat, and his cat had a crooked tail. His name was GB, and I used to run around behind him and try to straighten the tail.
I love that detail in that story.
It's going to be so important, that little cat.
I do. I love it.
And I would straighten GB's tail, and he was my little friend. And it was at Mary's house that my mom met my stepdad. He was going through his own separation at the time, and they were just friends. So Mary was like that connector between the two of them, and they felt comfort in coffees together and kind of walking out their own challenges, trying to navigate this world as a new divorcee. And my father was pursuing us relentlessly. He would threaten to steal me. He would try. My mom got full custody, and there were opportunities for him to come and visit with me. Sometimes I was able to go. Other times I couldn't because he had been drinking. So there was one incident in particular where he had come, and my mom knew he had been drinking, and she said, "I'm sorry, you can't take her." My stepdad, who was then just still a friend, was sitting at the table. He was over for coffee, out of the line of sight of the doorway. And my father's trying to coax me, "Come with me, Tara, come with me." And I'm like little. What do I do, right? Looking at mom, looking at him.
Yeah, you're torn.
Yeah. And so I just froze. And he looked at me and said, "Fine, I'm not going to be your father anyways."
Wow.
And that was the first moment in the trail of moments that were part of the battle against my identity and my value and my self-worth. But in that moment, all I could think to do was run to something familiar. So I ran into the arms of my now stepdad, and I jumped in his lap, and I used to call him GB because his name is Angelo. They called him Angie. I couldn't say Angie. And I cried, and I said, "You'll be my daddy, right, GB? You'll be my daddy." And this is his man who's not even dating this woman yet. And he hugged me, and he said, "Yeah, Tara, I'll be your daddy."
Wow.
Because what's he going to say, right?
Yeah, he just watched a little girl get crushed.
Heartbreaking.
There's no way that he was going to add to that.
Heartbreaking.
And your mom probably was like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And she had was already going through quite a bit with him and trying to, because she had to honor visiting rights, but she wasn't going to put me in a place that was dangerous. There were most times when he did have me, he would be dropping me off with whoever he was dating at the time anyways. So she did not go out. My mom was, she was going through college. She was taking me on the bus. Every day we'd travel on the bus to Niagara College, and she'd go to classes. I'd go to the daycare there. And there were times when she'd have night lectures, and I would get to go to the classes with her. So I actually started my college career when I was 3.
Wow.
And apparently, according to the professors, I was more behaved than some of the students. But it was, that was our life, right? And she was doing everything she could, and we'd make all of our Christmas ornaments homemade, and we didn't have a lot, but we didn't need a lot. We had each other.
You had each other.
We had each other. And there was a particular incident too where I was out with him, and he bought me a ton of, because this is what he would do. He'd buy things, and he bought me candy, bought me gum, did all this stuff I was not allowed to have, and didn't tell my mom. And that night she was, for the first time, going to go out, and my stepdad had said now they're going on a date, and he got tickets for Jesus Christ Superstar, and it was the live production just over the river in Lancaster. And she was like, okay, we're going to do that. And so I had a babysitter, and she happened to be really great neighbor girl that we knew for a while. So they went off, and later in the evening she had put me to bed, but something, and she was great. I can tell you, God had prompted her, but I also know she was chosen for me that night, because she went and checked on me, and I was blue. I wasn't breathing. Wow. And she's panicking because she had no idea what it was. She didn't give me anything, so she couldn't figure it out. She called her dad, who rushed over, and they knew that there wasn't going to be time for an ambulance. They didn't know how long I was without breath. Was I completely out of breath? And so he was breathing for me, and wife was driving, and they rushed me to the hospital. They contacted Mary, who sent over my Uncle Joe, was my stepdad's brother, and he was with them at the hospital with me. And then he met my mom back at the house to let them know what was going on. And of course, panic and everything else ensued, but I was okay. And they couldn't figure out why I was not dead or brain dead, because they didn't, I was without oxygen. And so this man who drove us, or that was giving me air, this is my babysitter's dad, and he had the same name as my real dad. And it's kind of interesting when you hear later. So after everything kind of settled down, they were running a timeline in their head, like, what time did this happen? And it was around the same time that the play had been ending. It was ending, and Jesus had been crucified on the cross, and there was a sheer curtain that they placed in front of him, and you see people walking by and clothing of that day, and nobody would stop and look at him. He's just there over the people. Then the stage clears, and a ball rolls out, and a small child around the age of 5 runs out on the stage, stops and picks up the ball and looks up. He's the only one that looked up at Jesus. Jesus was watching over that child. And this was the same moment that I was without air.
Wow.
I was without air. And so there was other stuff that had happened that kind of contributed to the rejection, the feeling of abandonment, the trauma. And we all have those things in our childhoods that I believe that when you're born into this world, you're born into a world that's a war between two kingdoms. You've got the kingdom of heaven, you've got God's glorious kingdom, and you've got this kingdom of darkness that's allowed to forge weapons against you. And the goal is to get you in your heart when you're little.
Yeah.
And the idea being that you're going to carry that trauma with you all the rest of your days, and it's going to be what hinders you from stepping close to God. And so many people will go through that where was God when scenario, and I encountered that later on with my stepdad, and we'll get into that, because that was really it's really important to just note that, because as my story isn't any better, worse, different than anyone else's. We all come through these early things that help us to form decisions about who we are.
Yeah.
And who we're called to be.
Well, here's the interesting that comes to me, and I want to hear more. But what comes to me when you're saying this is God has had His hand on your life. If we believe that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, you were fearfully and wonderfully made with purpose. And so the hand of God was on your life, even in rejection, even in near death. And you didn't even realize it at that point. Clue. But you look back and you can say, wow, the hand of God, the presence of God was protecting the purpose that He had put in me from an early age. And the Word of God says this, doesn't it? It says that we overcome by the power of our testimony.
Yeah.
Power of the blood, the power of our testimony. And I think it's important because what you're saying here is your testimony, you're saying it's not unique, whatever, it is unique to you.
To me, yeah.
It's unique to you. But the power is for you to relive it, look back, and now the testimony isn't that you were rejected. The testimony isn't that you almost lost your life. The testimony is Christ on a cross looking at a child, saving a kid, bringing a child, keeping the child, all for the purpose that he had for you.
Yeah. And he didn't stop at that. That moment, the gum thing would then resurface 13 years later when the man who saved my life walked into our church unknowingly. And it was my first solo with the worship team at my church, 16 years old. And I was singing, "Breathe. This is the air I breathe. Your holy presence living in me." So after all that had happened, my mom had me attending the local Baptist church for the girls group. It was Rainbow Seekers every Tuesday night. So we weren't going as a family, we weren't at church yet. But again, in her wisdom, to have me go and receive that opportunity and have Jesus in my life. And I loved girls group. I grew up in it. I loved it. We, the songs and the Bible studies and the activities and the baking and the sewing, we did all the things. And so that foundation, he was placing my feet firmly on something that I would then come back to later. And so when we ended up at another Baptist church when we moved, that was where I would meet my youth pastor. So now I'm getting into my early teens. So Calvin and Liz Russell, incredible people. Calvin kind of came into my life as the example of a godly man that I needed to see. And I just devoted my life to Jesus. I got baptized there. I was like, I am going to do everything I can to follow him. And we were on fire. We had a great group of kids, and we would come together every week. And I would go home and I would try to witness to my stepdad. And and I love my parents. My mom and my stepdad are still together today. They're walking in with Christ. I am like amazed to look back and see even what they've come through.
And they've been here.
My mom's
Your
been
mom
here.
has been here a couple of times.
We got, Dad, you got to get out here. We're waiting on you.
Yeah, I haven't met him yet.
Yeah. And I call him Dad because he's been with me my whole life. And he has.
Well, he told you he would be.
He would be, yeah. And he'd come through the same thing. Like he had a Catholic upbringing, and his was really hard because in their church, I don't know how this is like. I don't know a whole lot about how parishes work, but he said, he was resentful about it because him and his brother were put in what's called the dummy class. So if you didn't memorize all those prayers you're supposed to memorize, you were in big trouble and you were looked down upon. So and then going home, his father didn't attend. Grandmother would be, or his mother, my grandmother, would be sent to mass on his behalf. And again, there was alcoholism, and he witnessed a lot of violence. And for him, he had some very traumatic experiences where he was the one who had to save his own mother from death. Wow. And so in his mind, where was God when? Where was God? If we have God is real, then where was he? And when this happened, so when I would talk to him about Jesus, he couldn't receive it because his heart had come hardened to it based on all of the hurt.
And that trauma.
And the trauma. Yeah. And so
well, it goes back to what you said. That becomes that stumbling block for people. It
becomes your root. And so Jesus can uproot that. He can heal the brokenhearted. He can set the captives free when we allow him to. But there's this beautiful encounter that God has with each of us to get us there, that it takes time. It's gentle. It's a little bit at a time. It's showing up in these ways that are so him and coming to you in a way that you will personally receive. And that's what I witnessed through all of it. And but that wasn't his season. So we kept going in church, and my mom and I were on the choir there together. Then we moved over to a non-denominational church, and that was the church I would join the worship team for. And eventually that would be the church my dad would come to. And he's a drummer, He's a fabulous drummer, and he's been drumming since he was 17 years old. And of course, of course they said, oh, you should come and play with us. And he ended up on the worship team. So there's that, okay, I can belong to this.
Right.
And he didn't feel intimidated by it. It was not religious. It wasn't traditional. It was always just, let's introduce you to Jesus.
So much different from what
So much different.
his history was.
Never experienced that.
Yeah.
There's no presence of God anywhere before. So when I would talk to him about it in my passion and my excitement as a youth, he couldn't understand it. He couldn't receive it because it just sounds foreign until you experience it.
Right, right.
And so we were there together, and that morning we were going to do Breathe. It was wild because everything that could go wrong went wrong. He has this amazing Dixon double kick pedal. It just fell apart. Just fell apart. No reason at all. I had crazy fear come over me. Like there was all kinds of tech issues. I'm like, what is going on? So we get in the pastor's office and we are praying. We're praying. Dad fixes the pedal. Everything's good. We're thinking whatever's going to happen is going to be huge because there's an awful lot of effort going into stopping this from occurring. We get out there and I don't even remember playing it. I just sang it, everything I had, played it, and I don't even remember. It was like God just came on us, and that was it. We were just covered. And a woman came to me later who had had such a hard life, and I remember I was almost afraid when she came up to me and she's like, I gotta talk to you. And I was like, oh goodness,
Okay.
I do. Like, okay. And I was like, what's going on? She's like, when you were singing, I saw a vision. And I was like, oh, what was it? And she said, there was doves flying around your head and there was a light over you. And I was like, wow. And that I didn't know until 2 weeks later. My parents had gone to a Tim Hortons not far from the church for coffee after service. And Frank walks in the door, the man who had saved my life. And he hasn't seen them for years. And he looks and he goes, Cheryl, Angelo, I can't believe you're here. You're not going to believe what happened to me, where I was. And they're like, tell us. 2 weekends, 2 Sundays ago, I was over at the Blair Fawn Center. But it's not the Blair Fawn Center. It's a church. And I don't know why, but I was driving by and I had to pull in the parking lot. It was full of cars. And I walked in and I couldn't believe it. He goes, there's a young girl singing on the stage about the air she breathes. And I realized it was Tara.
Wow. Wow.
Right?
Just another chapter in that testimony. But that's what God does too, creating the opportunity, right? To remind you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible, Tara.
Yeah. But then the years that followed were the hard years. Because I'm a teenager. I'm in high school. I'm looking at the world. I had focused on having good grades and being a good kid, and I still didn't feel like we were a family. I still didn't feel like what we were experiencing at church was coming home with us, and my heart got hard. And I started to build up this protection around myself, and I was ready to run for freedom, whatever that looked like. I didn't want to be in it anymore. And again, I love my parents, but we all know, like, we were all on our own journey yet together, individually working through stuff. And the stuff wasn't working yet. It hadn't been worked out yet. And so we weren't whole. And there was so many things that were not said. There was so much we didn't talk about. We didn't address. We didn't work through. And it was hard. So when I had the opportunity, I was working 2-3 jobs all through my teenage years. I loved it. I was a workhorse. I would just go in.
But you're driven.
Yeah. And I realized, wait a minute, this is something I can control. I can be good at this. This gives me purpose. This gives me money, gives me freedom, gives me time away, and I can control this. So that became my God.
It became your focus.
And it was for the most better part of my life, because I did not know how to trust. I didn't know how to navigate relationships. Hurt people. So I hurt people, and I was hurt. And I was looking to fill this hole that I didn't understand I had, and those wounds, with other things that would never be able to fill it. The world was offering, because it was a temporary joy. It was a temporary relief. And that became more enticing than trying to keep up the good kid thing. And
So about what age are you in this? You say your teenage years?
it's late teens. Yeah, like I was
18?
getting into 17, 18,
17,
last 2
18.
years of high school. And then,
Which is a hard period of a person's life anyway.
oh, yeah,
Those years.
yes.
Because they're informative, they're the molding years, they're the find out who we are
Yeah.
kind of moment.
Yeah.
And if you have come from an environment where mom had some traumatic things, stepdad had some traumatic things, you had some traumatic things, this unit is operating somewhat bandaged up.
Yeah, we were like triaged, kind of.
And just trying to figure out. And now you throw in the mix of a 17-year-old woman
Yeah.
trying to figure out where she's going to fit in all of this. That's a tough thing.
And I had a half brother. I have a half brother.
Okay.
Who to me is my whole brother. I love him so much. He was 8 years younger. He is 8 years younger. So
He was. At a certain point, women stop aging. So you're right. Probably by this time, you're the same age.
And if we want to talk maturity, like we can get into all that. Oh, but he is my stepdad's. I look like my real dad. I was the constant reminder of the traumatic years, and it couldn't. When I was little, we could be close because I was little, and as I started to get older, I think it got awkward for him, and so kind of kept me at arm's length. And my father, my biological father, would come in and out of my life and make all kinds of promises and then leave again. It was kind of like a revolving door. So then he would kind of bring the trauma back around and then disappear and then bring the trauma. And it was, I think it was Lily's age. It was like 12 or 13 when he moved 2 streets over from us with his new wife and all her kids. He had all these stepkids. And he showed up at our door. And my mom's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I want to see her. I'm changed. I found God. I'm doing all these. I just want to see her. I want to do all these things." And she's like, "I will talk to her. And if she wants to, we will arrange that. But you cannot just show up like this. It's just too much for her." And so I agreed that he could come. And he comes back and he comes to the door and he's got all these gifts and all these things. And he's looking at me and he's, "Come give Daddy a hug." And I just freaked out, ran to the bathroom, locked the door, and I would not come out until he left.
Wow.
And I just cried. And I said, she's like, and he didn't understand what was wrong. And she said, "You've not been here.
Yeah.
She doesn't want your stuff. She needs a father. She's always needed a dad. And you come in and this is what you do every time."
Yeah.
And it's too much for her. It's overwhelming. Like I told her, I said, "Make them take. I don't want it. Don't leave it here. I don't want the stuff." And that was part of that hardening too, right? Where I'm like, how do I have all these men in my life and I can't, and no one just wants to love me? Am I unlovable? And God, and then I did where are you? I promised you that I would be good and I would do all the things. I learned all the things, did all the things. Where are you? Why can't I feel love? And so that carried through. And so then when you get into those teen years, like you said, it's a very tumultuous time. And now the world gets to show you all it has to offer. You don't need to feel. Just do this.
Yeah.
Come and do that. Come and experience this, right? And this is how it happens. It's an enticing thing, because to follow the Lord, it's not an easy route when you're set apart, to be set apart. It's a very different thing. So I spent the next 10, 12, 15 years working, moving farther away every time I moved, still not able to navigate relationships. I didn't want to have children. I thought I would mess them up.
Wow.
And I thought, I'm better off to work hard. I got my title. I got my amazing pay. I got my accolades. I can control this. This is security for me. I could take care of myself. I don't need anybody else. And so that's how that happens, or that becomes your safety blanket. And so eventually I met Christian, and there's something about him that was different. And we kind of came together like literally two worlds colliding. And we're both in our almost mid-30s. And so you kind of get more settled in your ways too when you're like, so your willingness to change things is not as...
Knowing both of you over the last 3 years, I would love to have been back there to watch you all try to navigate your personalities. And I say this with love because I love you both dearly. I really do. But you both have very strong personalities.
Yeah, 100%. And when you're working together, it's dynamic. It's amazing. Like, it's unstoppable when you're not. And so we were navigating like this new relationship and trying to but we were very, very passionate people. So it was easy to have a lot of fun, right? We were very passionate people. It's a very nice way of putting it. And then we had Lily. And when they tell you that children change you, oh yeah.
But at this point in your relationship too, Christian is, I don't want to give off the wrong vibe, but he's a non-believer. He's not. He had a belief, I'm sure, but he wasn't fully submitted to God or anything like that at that point.
It wasn't even a thought in his mind though, for him. And he talks about that openly because his story is incredible too. And he is very resistant. He had his own trauma. So then there's that, right? So he's bringing, and it was again, his child of divorce. He watched an interesting, scenario happen in the split with his family. And again, the only kind of sense of any form of God out that he had was a Catholic influence, and he wanted nothing to do with that. So he didn't have anybody who said, "Hey, I want to introduce you to my friend Jesus." There was no understanding that you could have this personal relationship. And so he had kind of come through what I came through, where over the years you start to rely on yourself as being the independent I am.
Right.
Right. I am responsible. So if I'm succeeding, it's because I am responsible for that. If I'm making this happen, it's because I did that. God didn't do that. I had to work hard to get that. Yeah. So there's no acknowledgement of it. And so I always carried the Lord with me, but I was allowing him to lead me.
So you denied access.
Yes.
Knew he was there.
Yep.
Had the memory, had the experience, had all of those things.
Had prophetic word over me.
So you were carrying that, but you were denying access to
Put my mantle in a backpack and tucked it in the closet.
So did at that point, did Christian know?
I had told him, I shared my stories with him, but I wasn't pursuing church family and actively living as a believer who walks along with Jesus. He knew, but it's like, again, it was just out of sight, out of mind, right? And then of course he knew all of my trauma too. And because I always kept him at arm's length as well. And he used to say to me, "Will you stop? I'm not going anywhere. You keep trying to get rid of me. I know you are." I said, "Well, eventually you will." Right? And he's like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "Okay." So Lily came, and now I'm terrified. There's a baby. I'm a mother. going to be a mother.
And you're not in your 20s.
No. And I was in my career, and I'd grown a great career for myself. And I was this is so silly. I'm going to just take a 6-week mat leave and go back to work. Had no clue what was going to happen. I ended up having her at home, and I took one look at that beautiful little sweet girl, and I was like, I'm not leaving you ever. Strap you on my back and take you with me if I have to. You are coming with me. I am not.
It's amazing,
leaving you.
isn't it?
It is amazing.
It's amazing the transition that happens in a parent's, a mother's, a dad's
It's wild.
mind, spirit, everything. The connection that happens
Yes.
to this being
Yes.
that a few months ago, and now here she or he is, and you're just immersed in a love that is indescribable.
There is no word. And to think that God loves us even more than that,
And that's my point. That's what I was leading to.
I can't even, because I can't even describe. I mean, I would lay my life down for her.
Well, and that's what he said. He said, you being a carnal father, know how to give good gifts to your children, your human children. Think about the Heavenly Father.
Right.
And how much more I want to give you.
And yet we don't deserve it too.
We don't deserve it. And sometimes we don't even
take it for
recognize
granted.
it. We don't even recognize it.
We don't recognize it.
Because we're so fogged with everything else that's happening and that we're immersing ourselves.
Yeah.
So he uses this, and I love that you've transitioned into this portion because Lily's birth, and now you're creating this family with Christian.
Yes.
And this now is going to be a catalyst for change that begins to happen in your home.
Well, now I want her to know God.
Yeah. Your whole...
Now I want her to know. I want her
where
to,
you were denying access.
Yeah.
Now you're saying, listen, you can't live without.
No. You need to have, like I got to have, like my mother did for me. My desire to protect her body, mind, and spirit was undeniably like bigger. It was greater than me. But this is where I ended up in warfare, because now I can't hear God anymore. I don't hear him. He's not there. I haven't been talking to him. I haven't been with him. And I'm carrying this rucksack full of shame, pain, guilt, trauma, and everything in between that has become attached to me. And I have this voice in my head saying, you can't go back to him. You walked away from him. He had a plan for your life. Someone spoke that over you and you knew about it and you still walked away. The incredible dialogue that starts to happen in your mind, it's the greatest mind trap of all.
Well, it is the foothold of the enemy,
It
too.
is the foothold.
100%.
The accuser of the brethren. He's
Because
in
we
there.
forget, and this is a scripture that I had to have relived in my life, and that is that the gifts and the callings are without repentance.
Right.
And that was a big deal for me. And it sounds like for you too, in that when God does give you a gift and a calling, he's not sorry about it.
And it's a game changer when you're his.
Yeah.
I can't spank other people's kids. I love to sometimes. But I'm not.
Listen,
I'm not allowed.
I give you full permission.
But
I have 3 that need it.
oh, okay. I don't know if it'd be kind of awkward. They are a bit big. but I am supposed to be responsible for disciplining my own children. Well, it's the same for us. So when we're his, there's a different kind of discipline that he is going to give us when we are supposed to be his righteous. So this is where we go into the refining fire. So my heart's desire is I want to be close to him again. He'll give us the desires of our heart. But his desire is to refine me, to take all those impurities off.
Yes, because you're carrying baggage that needs to get out.
Yep. And he needs me to need him and understand so much that when he does that for me, There's no going back. My desire will be to never leave him again. And I was thinking, it was Exodus 3, when he calls the Israelites out of Egypt, he doesn't take them the fast route. He doesn't take them to the Philistines. He doesn't take them the quick way. He takes them through the wilderness the long way. They had never been trained for war. They'd never seen war before. And if they went into a battle straight out of Egypt, they would have run right back to their captor. Didn't matter how bad it was. But instead, he took that long route because he's like, while I got you on this road, this is where you're going to see my love for you, my provision for you. I'm going to give you, your week will not perish. Your clothes will not wear out. I will be your pillar of fire at night and your pillar of smoke by day.
Listen, those were the best shoes ever made.
They had to be mucklugs.
They were the best shoes ever made.
Do not wear
Soles didn't wear out. But in true fashion of humanity, blinded by it in the middle of it sometimes. And it took a generation to get through all of this. And here you are in the wilderness.
Wrestling with him.
You're wrestling with him. Now you've got new purpose showing up in the life of Lily, who we can talk about Lily another time. But Lily is a light to me.
She's special.
She is.
I know I'm biased, but
you are biased, but you can
special.
be. Lily is. But and I've said this to Lily, and we're off a little bit, but I need to say this. I've said it to her. Don't let the world or anything change you.
Yes, thank you I hear you say that, and she tells me, and I'm like, God, praise you, God.
Don't let it
Those
change
words
it. Don't
root in her heart, Jesus.
It has to.
It has to,
because she is a light that God will use. God will use, but we know the world, we know the enemy, we know all of that, we know the tactic, and so you're in this refining fire, you're in this wilderness, you've got new purpose, you see this baby, you got this desire for her to know who Christ is.
And I'm not believing that I'm good enough for her. I'm not believing that I can do a good job.
You're still struggling throughout who Tara is.
Oh, yeah. And while that's happening, I want to go back, and Christian's going, what? Church? And then, so now the conversations are coming up about, well, he doesn't care about that or believe in that. So now we're unequally yoked. We're wrestling each other. And I started to go down this, it's like we're reading the Lithos kids' Little Pilgrim's Journey. And when they end up wandering off the narrow path, they end up in the bog of despair. That's what I was reading. I was like, oh, I've been there.
Pilgrim's Progress.
I've been there. I was like,
I had
in
a
this
condo.
quicksand.
I had a condo there.
You got sold to Pilgrim's Oh, I got some swampland if you want that too. No, but yeah, and so God let me hang there in the fire, and I know now why. You know, he's the greatest sayer. Where you refine, gold doesn't get to become gold until it's been put in over and over and over again. It's refined over. It's pressed down, pressed on every side, shaken. And every time the sayer pulls it out, checks it, there's more impurities that come off, but it's not done yet. Then he puts it back in, turn up that oven, 7 times the heat, put him in that prison, put him in that cave, put him in the lion's den, put him in. And he's with you.
He's with you, and he's put you there to make you what he wants you to be.
Because when you're done, it's only finished when he sees his reflection in you.
And you know, the righteousness, the Bible says, is imputed upon us. His righteousness is put on us. It's not your righteousness.
That's right.
It's his reflection.
That's right.
And that's the beauty of what you're saying, is he's trying to get his reflection in us.
Yeah.
In every
it's
aspect.
Hard bought. You got it. When you work for something like that, when you feel the separation, when I knew I had a connection with Jesus, I had that relationship. So I knew what that was. I was his. And then I knew what it was like to be away, and I knew what it was like to be crying out. And I'm like, why can't I hear you? And now I'm in desperation. And I don't know what to do. And I'm still carrying this stuff. And there was other old things that were starting to resurface too. He's good. He's just going to be like, oh, you want some of this?
Yeah, you
How
got
about
rid of
some
this.
with your family?
Don't
How about
forget,
some?
yeah.
And let's bring it all up for all at the same time and see how much you can handle. And you got to remember that the blacksmith that's in the back, that's banging out the weapons that are going to get used against you, God made him too.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's allowing it because he already knows where he's going to pull you out of, because your testimony, your trauma, your survival through it all is evidence of him and his righteousness.
Yeah.
And that's what he uses us for. It's to show the hordes of hell, I am still God.
Yeah.
Job, I don't even think Job was really, I don't even think he was read in at the end. I don't even think he knew why he went through what he went through, even when everything was restored. But he knew that the faithfulness that he kept was what God was looking for. And that testimony has survived through the ages. So I was like, what am I going to do now?
Is this, and forgive me, but are we in the area now? Because I know there was
The rescue team is coming.
I know there was a scenario that you told me about before. Believe it was a Pastor Michael.
Yep.
Is that in this portion
Yes.
of what's about to happen?
This is going to be another, just like Frank showing up at the church.
Right, and that's what I was kind of transitioning, because God, listen,
It's only going to leave you so long.
God was just kind of, ever since you were a baby, just kind of dropping these little nuggets of I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And we're about to hear about another portion of where he undeniably showed up through somebody.
Yeah. And right before that happened, I was like, okay, maybe I need to go talk to somebody. And for the first time in my life, I was like, all right, well, let's try that therapy thing. And I went to I think I was at 3 sessions, and she had talked about wells. And this was fascinating to me, because as I was going through all the things we went through in my life, and she said, even now your desire is this acceptance that you didn't have, or this approval you didn't have, or these things that you've been looking for. But it sounds to me like you've been looking in dry wells. You need to find wells with water. And you're in this ocean and it's turbulent, and you're throwing life rafts to people or whatever those round things are. And instead of grabbing them, they're pulling your head and pulling you down. And she's going through all these things. I was like, well, that's interesting. I thought about the woman at the well. And so I still wasn't getting these answers. I still wasn't hearing from God, and I was still having a hard time, and I was still really sad. And I was depressed. I was so depressed. And Christian and I would battle. And we didn't want to battle in front of Lily, so we were having a particularly tough day. And he took her to the park, and I was alone. And I had a really deep heart to heart with God. And I said, look, I need you. I don't hear you. I don't know what you want from me. I don't know. I did the same thing. It's like the same story as my mom. I did the same thing. I said, I wasn't going to do it like this. I wasn't going to do it like this. And now I don't know how to come back to you. I love him, but he doesn't know you. He doesn't want to know you. And how am I going to raise her? I'm just not a good mom, and maybe they're better off without me. So I need you, God, to show me a sign, or else I don't know if I want to be here anymore. And my doorbell rang. And I was like, walked to the front door. I open it, and there's my neighbor, who we had not had a full conversation ever once since I lived there. And I'm standing in the doorway, and he's just looking at me, and I'm just got tears streaming down my face. And I looked at him and said, he sent you, didn't he? And he looks at me and he goes, I think so.
Wow.
He had this intense calling on, tugging to come the day before, and he had ignored it. And so he said, I had to, I don't know why I'm here, but I know I needed to be. And he said, I pastor a church. He said, and God told me I have to come to you now. I can't ignore it. And I was like, well, I'm glad you did, because I just had a conversation with him, and this is what's going on. So we sat on the porch, and I poured out my heart to him. And then he invited me to come to his church. And he says, this is the name of our church. And he said, but we call ourselves the Well.
Wow.
And it's like, message received. And so I went back to the therapist. I was like, I'm good. You were amazing. Thanks so much. I got to go.
Can I have my money back?
And I'm done. And I'm done.
Just cancel the rest of those checks.
Right? And so we went off. And so Christian wouldn't come with me, but Lily did. Just 2.5. And she immediately loved church. She's so social, right? She's
Well, yes.
And she just, right? You can't escape her. You try to get away. She's like, Pastor, I got stories. You got 45 minutes?
I love her stories. I love her 5-minute, 55-minute stories.
Right. She saves them for you, just so you know.
I know. Listen, she is a detail
And she
queen,
loves you.
And I love her. I really do. And Mackenzie, too. And we'll get to Mackenzie.
Yeah.
But so you
fell in
had
love
this
with me.
encounter. You had this encounter. You got Lily going to church with you. Christian is still being stubborn.
He's at home. Yeah.
He's at home.
Wondering why we're taking so long and spending so much time there.
Why are you going?
And they do like long days. They would do Saturdays because there was another church using the space
Gotcha,
on
okay,
Sundays.
yeah.
And so they would do fellowship. So we'd do long worship.
They tried to get it all packed in because they didn't have a facility
That's
to
right.
come through.
So we had a lunch so we'd be
Yeah.
like 4 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
And he'd be like, what do you mean you're at church? You were there the whole time for 4 hours? What would you do for 4 hours? I'm like, you'd be
But this is
surprised.
foreign to him.
Yes. And again, when you only were new people that would go for like, oh, I'm just going to run and do a quick mass and come back. Like it's not,
Yeah.
there was he never experienced community in this way. He didn't understand why that fellowship part was so important. But Lily would share with him.
But on top of that, and just before you get to that portion, from his point of view, he didn't marry that woman.
No. But here's the testimony in his testimony is he was incredibly amazed at the woman that I became.
That started coming out.
And
because
that
it was,
didn't leave, wasn't sad, was not that, wasn't carrying that. So, but it didn't happen overnight. I mean, I remember being there and I couldn't even move my feet from where I was standing. And I wanted to be, I couldn't, I was still wrestling. I was like, how do I give this up? How do I get this stuff out? Get it off. Like I needed to just be set free from it. But it had become woven into my fabric. And it was almost like that was still too insecure. And Mike would come up and be like, come to the front. Even I hand me a microphone, like, no, too soon. And there'd be Lily.
yeah.
At the front, and people would say, that little girl, she just makes me want to worship. So she, in her innocence, the way I was when I was little, this was like, she was soaking it up and she was expressing it. And then she'd go home and say, Daddy, I want to pray with you tonight before bed. So she would start praying, making him pray with her every night. And so when he talks about, again, all of the experiences he had to meet the Lord, he was like, one of the greatest things, and we'll get to Mackenzie she had a miracle healing, but for him, those prayers every single night.
Yeah.
She was planting seeds.
Faith of a child.
So deep. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he got used to
Nothing will
us going.
soften the heart of a dad like the sincerity and love of a child.
That's right.
And
Pure
she was getting into
Yep.
areas of his heart that probably he didn't even know were there.
Yeah. and her faith was so pure and so big that it's like she knew, why don't you come with us, Daddy? And he'd say, well, Daddy, that's not really for Daddy. You should come, Daddy. You would love it. And she'd say, I love Jesus. I love Jesus. And so her faith was just like emanating off of her. And so it didn't matter what he said. It made her question like why she wanted us to come together. But she was happy just going too and coming home and praying with him. And so she'd bring church to him. She'd bring fellowship to him. And then Kenzie, we found out we were going to have Kenzie. Lily she turned 4 just after Kenzie was born. So it was about a year later. And Kenzie, first of all, if anybody's had a baby over 35, they call it a geriatric pregnancy.
Okay. So again, we had some 3 years. It feels like eternity. Feel like I've known you all my life.
Yeah.
And I've got these little nuggets of moments that I tucked away. And one of the early times, we didn't know each other very well. This conversation, what you're about to talk about, I don't know if you're going to say everything that you told me. I don't know if you're going to say everything.
Someone needs to hear this out there, and they're going to be like,
But this is early on, and I'd like to put that out there. We have not had a seasoned friendship at this point, and this is part of some of the early things that you said to me.
Yeah.
To reveal who you are in many ways. I just can't
get over this. I have to share this so people will feel like
feel
what I'm feeling.
Listen, I love that you shared it. I have shared it since.
But geriatric. So the first time I heard my midwives told me that, because I had the same midwives I had for Lily, and they're like, well, we're going to have to see you more often, and you're going to need more ultrasounds because this is a geriatric pregnancy. And I was like, geriatric? What are you saying? Like, did my eggs come down the fallopian tubes on walkers? Like, did I dust it off? Do I need to have a defibrillator nearby? Like, what was geriatric? I don't know how I feel about this.
We got the Metavan.
I was like,
so
it's ageism. I don't even know. It's so wrong.
Hi, my name's Tara. And then I learned that story.
Can we change that medically to like youthfully impaired? Like there's another term we use. Yeah, I shared that with you. And you loved it just as much the
I
first
loved
time,
it
too.
then, and I love it now. I'm just
me. I'm just me. Oh, so I'm sorry, ladies, if you're over 35.
That's what they call it.
You dusted off the oven. Good for you. But that pregnancy did not come without some challenges. And we had a little bit of placenta previa. And then near the end and that just kind of remedied itself on its own. But it was near the end when our second to last ultrasound, they told us that she had hydronephrosis of the kidney. I'm going, what's that? And they said, well, it's an enlarged kidney. It's when the urine backs up from the ureter, and there's too much fluid in there, or it stays enlarged. So her left kidney was larger than her right. Now that can self-correct too, but they send you for an ultrasound after baby's born. And when we did that, sure enough, it was still there. Mm-hmm. So now we are registered with McMaster Hospital at that point, and under the care of the leading pediatric urologist, Dr. Braga, who just happened to be running a 9-year study on hydronephrosis kids. And we were coming in at the 9th year, the last year of this leg of this study. And it was across the 4 major children's hospitals in Canada. And he asked if we would like to be part of the Alpha study. And that's what it's called. And I said, okay, well, what does that involve? And he said, well, a side effect of having hydronephrosis is you could get frequent UTIs. And so they have this low dose antibiotic that they would give, and you either get the placebo or you get that, and it'll prevent that from happening. I was like, okay. So, and I was hesitant to do it. I didn't, and then something in me said, you need to be a part of this. And I was like, okay, I think I'll be a part of it. It's nothing too invasive. And he was incredible. He's very well known for what he's done. I actually ended up taking Kenzie to an osteopath locally who happened to have surgery on her little girl who had hydronephrosis. And she showed me the picture, literally the ureter outside of her body. And he had found where it had had a fusion, and he was able to cut that out, attach together, and she was perfectly fine. So where I had all these affirmations that this is the best care you're going to have. But before Kenzie was born, when I was 6 months pregnant, Christian and I had another encounter about, come to church, Lily wants you here. We should go together as a family. I really want us to do this as a family. And he's like, nope. And I looked at him and I said, what are you waiting for? For God to come out of the clouds on a chariot bellowing your name? And he said, yes, I am. Yeah. I want him to prove to me he's real. And I looked at him and I just said, Christian, it doesn't work that way. He doesn't have to do that. He's God. He's going to come to you in a way that only you are going to recognize in your heart. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be our children. And I didn't know I had given him this almost like a prophetic word to say, this is how he's going to do it. And this was right before we even knew that she had hydronephrosis. So kind of put that in your back pocket as we're going through that year. And God had sent us on this incredible journey, her and I. It's like needs to be a whole nother conversation about just that year.
Yes.
The encounters that we had, the growth I had, what we were doing with the church.
And the people that God put in your path during all of that.
And us for them and them for us. And
we need to do a segment on that because it's powerful. It really is.
What he was showing me is, I am with you. I told you I would never leave you. And I am doing incredible things through you. And I'm going to use you to do incredible things. Do not be afraid. Because my fear was like, as she went through the year, it got bigger and bigger. And he couldn't figure it out. And this was the crazy part. Dr. Braga, who had over 800 kids in this study, did multiple surgeries. He was the guy, if he could, whatever was going on, he'd figure it out. He couldn't figure it out.
He was baffled by it.
Right. And so every week we were at church and we were laying hands on her and on me and we're praying. And he at one point said, she's stage 4. Like, I should be doing surgery, but I'm not because I don't know what I'm doing surgery on. So I'm going to wait. Well, we were praying for discernment. And it was that waiting that gave God that time. And it was him, I believe it was him pressing that into his heart to hold back, because 2 visits later, we saw this decrease. Because he had said, we're going to watch over the next 2-3 visits. I'm going to watch the curve. If she gets any worse, I'm going to have to go in. And it was at that point where he's like, okay, we got to do surgery. And then God goes, no, you're not. Not yet.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, there's a change. Within 2 months, it was just shy of her first birthday. We went for what would be our last visit. The couple Sundays before we had went, I had walked into my church and I had looked at my pastor's wife and said, listen, we're having our miracle. We're getting our miracle. It's coming. It's coming. And she reminded me after, she goes, do you realize how you were for certain that this miracle was coming when I spoke to you? Just in belief, a total belief, because I had prayed. I was on my knees and I finally went like this and went, God, I give. I got to give her to you. I give up. This is you. This is you and her. She belongs to you. You've just given her to me to care for, but she is yours. So whatever you're going to do, I trust you. I trust you with her. She's yours. And it was that I had finally let go of any ounce of fear. So it was pure trust. And that was what he was looking for. Because I had come from a place where I could not control this. I couldn't be in my place of safety. I had to let him take the lead, but he had showed me all year. And so we went for that visit and we were waiting like an hour and a half, and Dr. Braga and Melissa, who's the head of the Alpha study, they come in and they're like, we're so sorry, Mama. He calls me Mama. We've kept you waiting for so long, but we couldn't understand what we're looking at, because every visit we would do an ultrasound, we do blood work, we would do everything. And he said, we were looking at our ultrasound and we thought we got it mixed up. We had to go check with the lab. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, I don't know how to explain this to you. He goes, but Mama, she's healed. And I jumped up out of my seat and I was like, praise God. I'm like, Dr. Braga, I knew it. He goes, what do you mean you knew it? I said, I knew that our miracle was coming. I said, I know you're going to want to explain this with science, but this was God. He goes, no, Mama, I believe. He goes, we can't explain this. This is a miracle. She never had a normal kidney from the time she was in the womb. And I'm looking at a perfect kidney.
New kidney.
Brand new, manufacturer reset, restored to perfect design. And I had asked him another visit earlier, I said, what's going to happen though if it does shrink? Because it's like a balloon, right? You blow up the balloon, you let the air out, and the balloon it loses its elasticity. So now it's kind of, stretched out. He said, yeah, that could happen. We could end up having to do surgery for that. So when he says, I'm looking at a perfect, he said, that's why we couldn't figure it out. And then I said, we were praying for this. He looks at me, he goes, would you pray for me for something? And I said, yeah, of course.
Sure.
I said, but Dr. Braga, don't you see? You and Melissa have just bared witness to a miracle in the biggest children's hospital in this area. A hospital filled with children who need miracles. You can pray. You can do what you do medically, and you can pray. Bring God in. Let him. This is your evidence of who he is. And he said, I believe she was the only one in this study. So when God does it, he does it big, undeniable. And and of course, I call Christian. I tell him, and he's thinking, he goes, oh, that's good. Did you just hear what I said? That's good. And he'll tell you, and he talks about it in his testimony. He's like, I thought maybe because we were drinking that Kangen water, it's like really clean water. Maybe that did it. Like he was trying to
he wants to
rationalize
the miracles that are supernatural with a natural, kind of a natural understanding. And that's typical.
Yeah.
But what he missed was there was already a prophetic word from his wife that said that your children are going to be your sign.
And in perfect wifely fashion, I reminded him. I was like, do you remember what he said? I did that, told you so.
Oh boy. That's, again, a whole other statement. We deal with young marrieds and all of that.
Mr. Stoneman, your chariot of fire has now arrived. Straight out of the clouds.
But that is the progression of what you've just said. That there was a prophetic word. And you say you don't know, but that's what a prophetic word is. You spoke something that you felt God was leading you to. And it was in his thick head. Christian was missing it. And I said thick head.
And we love you. We love you.
She didn't say it. I said it. But really, that's what it is. Sometimes we're thick-headed about these spiritual things because of the natural, but you said it. He's crying out saying, yeah, I want him to come down and show me.
Yeah.
That
call my name.
I want him. And you said, with a little bit of doubt, he doesn't really work that way. But unbeknownst to you, unbeknownst to him, he was going to do that. And that's exactly what he did.
Through an undeniable healing that will forever go down in history,
through his child.
That wasn't even just about us, because again, when God uses us, the people that were part of that, even Dr. Braga.
Sure. But
it's huge.
And
what
it
he
is
did.
huge. It is huge.
It's
but
huge.
I want to narrow it down to how huge it was for Christian.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, you all shared a couple of years ago with our miracle service, and it was a powerful, and I'll never forget that service. It was a powerful service. We need to do another one in similar fashion. But knowing and spending the time that I have spent with Christian over the last couple of years, the growth that is there and in your family and all of that.
It's beautiful.
It's a full circle of where you were and in the story. And I know we don't have time to get into all of it tonight. We probably need to do a part 2 to this because we're in a part now that your husband, and this isn't his story, this is your story, but it is your story. Your husband is now getting to this place of recognizing, this God that my Lily wanted me to meet is interested in our family. And he's showing up in our family. And he's bringing healing. And he's trying to get my attention.
And he healed my wife. And I battled for my family. I went from being, I'm not going to be good enough to come back. God isn't going to be able to take me as I am, to a woman with a sword. And God had to, and he's so gentle. Because with me, it's that strong personality. I want it. Like, let's go. Like this.
No, I'm not familiar. Go ahead and explain what you mean. I need a little more information.
This is very strong.
You know I love you.
Yeah, I know. You love me for just as who I am. But I was getting too impatient. And at one point, the Lord had to say to me, hey, I got this. This isn't my time. I'm working this out with him. So my advice for those that are waiting for someone you love, the greatest thing you can do aside from prayer and praying with expectation of that breakthrough is to demonstrate God in you. And he said, I just need you to be the godly wife. I need you to keep doing what you're doing in this relationship that you and I have. And I'm going to work that out over here with him. But it's in our time. This is me and him. And I realized that I had to back off because I come to that place where I cried out to God, why God, why isn't he seeing you? We had a miracle and it's still not happening. The thick head.
Now she said that one.
But I love you. And why not? Why not? This is like, how much more do you need? And that's when he's like, no, it's coming. Wait for it. Wait for it. That's that long wilderness walk together. And again, because and I've said it before in other podcast recordings or our testimonies, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. You cannot force someone to believe something that in their heart they don't yet believe.
No, and that's this
it doesn't
relationship.
stick.
That's this relationship. Every relationship is individual, and it is personal. And your family unit will come to full purpose, but it's not going to be because you pushed Christian to it.
No.
It's because he grew in it.
That's right. And I maintained the consistency. One of his big things was Christians are hypocrites.
Yes.
And we hear that a lot too, right? Well, because they go and they do this at church, they go home to different people. They go to this place, they're different people. I mean, we're all human. We're all sinful by nature. No, you're not going to meet a perfect Christian, but I do understand what he's saying because there's a lot of people that declare God and don't demonstrate in their lives. So that's what he's used to seeing. So he was always waiting for it to just change. And so that takes time too to see it's not changing. And at one point, and this I think was a big turning point too, whereas when I did this for Kenzie, God, this is you. She belongs to you. I did it with Christian. And I looked at him and said, I give. I need to work out my own salvation with fear and trembling. I can't be responsible for yours anymore. I'm going to love you for the rest of my life. I'm going to continue to go to church. The girls and I are going to go, but I'm not going to bother you about it anymore because when we go alone. And so I'm going to be praying for us and I'm going to keep loving you the way I'm loving you, but I'm not responsible for your salvation anymore. And I stopped I stopped bugging him. And it's like, we're not going to try to get me to go anymore. Right? Like, oh no. What, you're pursuing me now? Kind of like the attention. Yeah, I want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And then you get the FOMO, right? And it wasn't a tactic. It was, I needed to release that from myself because it's hard.
You again, Tara, this is not therapy 101, but you again went through that trauma of your teenage years of trying to find things. You figured out that you have the ability to control things. And that was slipping into these other things. You figure, well, I can just control this too. But God says you're not in control. So get your hand off the wheel.
Yep. And the handle of that door.
And let me do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And then the shifts start to happen.
Yeah.
Because now you are just loving people purely. You are loving people the way God is loving them as for who they are and who they're not. And you're loving your loved one through their journey, and it's going to be a beautiful experience for them. That's theirs. And it's important to allow that space because we don't battle with the flesh.
No.
We've got to take our battle to the spirit. We got to cover our homes and cover our children and declare things and get things out of there that don't need to be there. And that's our role.
Yeah.
And to demonstrate who he is. And then that will all work itself out as they make their way through that journey, which, as you said, in another time, we will get into that and have to bring him in and
well, listen, we need
share that.
Yeah, we need a segment with the Stonemans. Yeah. Because that again is another whole chapter that I am thankful to have been witness to. There's a portion in there that I've witnessed in some of the transition and even in our conversations I've got a very good memory. I can go back to our early Bible studies and conversations to what they sound like and look like now.
Yeah,
And it is different.
it totally is.
It's totally different. And that's the growth, and that's the process.
The crucible of the fire.
So as we kind of come to a close on this portion, what does it mean to you to say, he was with me? What does it mean to you to say from birth, through all of that, through hearing your biological father say, well, I'm not going to be your dad, your stepdad right there to be, saying, I'll be your dad then. The girl that's almost dying. Jesus Christ superstar, and a little boy with a ball stop to look at Christ. And then you go through all of this, and you look back, and it's easy probably to say, well, God was absent, but that's not the case, is it? That's not the case. So what does it mean? What does it mean to say he was with me?
I thank him all the time for it, and the closeness that I didn't see or feel or realize was there and never left. And so how we respond to our afflictions, it is the testimony of our lives. And how much he's shown up, how often he's revealed himself, I didn't even deserve. And he did, because he promises that. He was there through everything. I look back and think, how did I even survive those years? How did I even get through that? But I see where and how I did. When you come out the other side and you look back and you realize, when they say there's another man in the fire.
The unseen hand.
There is another man in the fire. He puts you in the fire, but he goes in with you.
Yeah.
And my whole life is evidence of that. And I think it is what called me back, because I did know that in the end. And you come to that place when you've walked it out this way. And as I said earlier, I had him, and then I didn't feel him. I didn't have him. And I got to have him again. Now I'm in that place because he took me through it the way he did, that I will never let him go. It's not possible, because I never want to go back to that wilderness where I couldn't hear his voice.
You couldn't feel him, see him, hear him.
Yeah, I don't want to go back there. It's not worth it to me to go back there. It is an intimacy, a relationship that is like woven into every fiber of your being. He's my everything. I came back to my first love. And I know that he has had my children. He has had my husband. He has my parents. And I'm watching my mom now minister to her aging father, and a healing that's happening there in their relationship. I got to be in the deathbed of my stepdad's dad and witness to him and a healing that happened in that relationship. He didn't even let them leave without making sure that wounds were healed, because he loves us. And he knows that we'll carry those burdens in that backpack.
Yeah.
But he's always, always looking for opportunities.
He's detailed
To show us he's here. We have to be willing, though, to hear. We have to. He doesn't leave us. We leave him.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized.
And David said something, I think, very significant to what you're saying. And that is, he made this statement. I don't know off the top of my head what psalm it is in. When I say it, those that are Bible scholars will know exactly which one. But I know the word. And he said, I will not forget his benefits. And David was literally saying that no matter what turmoil, valley, I know the goodness of God. And I'm not going to forget his benefits. I know what he brought me through. I know how he protected me. I know how he kept me. He fed me. He clothed me. He did everything he needed to do. I will not forget the goodness of God. And listen, I love it. I love it. Finally, at the end here, right now, at the end, what would you hope people would hear from your testimony where God brought you? What would you hope they would hear clearly about this Jesus that you've talked about?
He loves you. He loves you beyond any words. But when you're going through things, when you're in the fire, it is not out of whack. It is by design. He's not going to leave you in that place, but he's refining you, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And if you choose to follow him, you choose to come out, you want to come through, he's going to leave you in only long enough for you to feel that transformative change in your spirit, in your life that's lasting. And he will be right there on the other side, rejoicing with you and celebrating what you're doing together through those hard things. He's in the business of mess. And there's no mess he can't fix. There's no mess he doesn't understand. There's no mess he hasn't seen. He knows us intimately. Even if you don't know him, he knows you. And he's waiting on you to call out his name. And I don't think it's weak to get on your knees and cry out when you need to. It is what saved my life. It is what allowed the calling for us as a family to come to fruition. It had to start with just that, getting rid of that resistance. It had to come with submission. That's the word I'm looking for. I had to submit first. We don't need to be in control of our lives. I don't want to be fully in control of my life. It's a lot of work.
Well, and we mess up.
And we mess up all the time. But he loves me regardless of that. And I find that as I get older, God has a sense of humor. And I can do things and be like, oh, Lord, I did that again. Can you help me with that? Boy, am I a doughhead. And he'll say, I know, and I love you for it anyways. David, when you're talking about him, I want to say this real quick. He says he was so thankful for what God had did for him. I'm so thankful, God, you were so good, and you did all these things. I want to build you a house. I'm going to build you a house, God. And God's like, no, I'm going to build you a house.
Yeah.
I'm going to build you a house in a kingdom that never ends. And there's a spot perfect just for you that's waiting for you. So just have hope. Take hope from this, that there's nothing that he cannot pull you out of. And that love will carry you through the hardest and the darkest times. There's a song that I had on repeat when I was coming through my mess, and it's Captain by Hillsong. And I don't know, we're not a big, we're not all full on Hillsong up in here. We don't, but this was one at that time. So I'm not plugging for Hillsong. I'm not saying that, but I want to leave this because through waters uncharted, my soul will embark. I'll follow your voice straight into the dark. And if from the course you intend I depart, speak to the sails of my wandering heart. Like the wind you'll guide, clear the skies before me, and I'll glide this open sea. Like the stars, your word will align my voyage and remind me where I've been and where I'm going. Lost in the shadows amidst fear and fog, your truth is the compass that points me back north. Jesus, my captain, my soul's trusted Lord, all my allegiance is rightfully yours. Joshua 5:13-15. Go read that one. But he doesn't leave us. So.
Powerful. Yeah. I love it.
I love him.
Thank you. Thank you, Tara, for sharing. And I think what one takeaway out of all of this, for me anyway, and perhaps others that are listening or watching, is that from the outset, a family can look like it's all together, But if you don't know the story
Yeah.
of what brought it to that place, it deepens your appreciation. It really does. And the word again says he is no respecter of persons.
Yes.
And so everybody listening, this story, while you might look at Tara and her family and say, well, they got everything and they got this, and there was a process that we have just heard, and they're still living it out in many ways today. They're still seeing the story unfold. And I know what God has shown me. I know what God has revealed. And I can tell you that next chapters are amazing.
Yeah.
They really are. I just feel that.
Christian recently was baptized.
Yes.
And a lot of folks I don't think understood why I broke down. I was on the floor on my face at the altar when I realized that he didn't tell me he was doing this. This was his decision. But it was like all of that journey, all the prayers, all the tears, all of the conversations with the Lord, the desire to see this happen. This was like I winning the Super Bowl of
It was a big deal. It was a big day.
Huge. Knowing where we come through together. And yeah, it's a new season is starting, and we're thankful for it. And we're thankful to be here. And we'll save that journey and how we came out to this area for next time.
That's another one. And we got other things to talk about. But again, thank you. And we're excited about Christmas at New Hope.
Christmas, yeah. Jesus is our hope. Christmas
This
with
was
new
fun.
hope.
Thanks for letting me be your interviewer.
Yeah, you did great.
Did I?
Good job.
You're a liar.
Yeah, well, I'll bring you back. We'll let you do it again.
All right. Well, that concludes our conversation today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor.
All right.
Take care.